I know I've been on a Divorce Diaries rant for quite a while now, but I just want to take a break to just remind you about this podcast and how I record it. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast everywhere. Seriously. On Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Again, that's anchor.fm to get started, or download the Anchor app.
Welcome to the Divorce Diaries podcast. One man's anonymous and live account of if he should get a divorce or stay married. He's been cheated on, and he's cheated. Protecting the innocent with changed voice patterns, the omission of names, ages, and genders. His authentic journey and account of the daily events of his marriage are helping him sort out his feelings and not get lost in the ups or the downs. New episodes are released daily. Welcome to the Divorce Diaries podcast. Entire seasons are released on Patreon weeks before anywhere else at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Link in description. Now for today's episode.
So, a lot has transpired since the last recording. Things are, I'm gonna do some house cleaning. I'm gonna put all my, eventually, maybe, I don't know, put all my Red Pill Raging Divorce Diaries podcasts that are no longer public, maybe up on Patreon. I have no idea. The level of toxicity that's in those, the level of hate that's in those, is something that no one should listen to. But I think that you should listen to it just as a guide for yourself if I decide to post it. Because when you listen to those posts, you need to listen to it through the lens of someone that is extremely, extremely selfish and only sees things from one perspective, and that's me. I only saw things from what do people do wrong? How do people need to be fixed? Look at that good thing that I did. Why don't they all remember and know? And why I'm so much better, because I'm so much smarter. If you want to hear the most arrogant version of any man, listen to those if I ever decide to post them on Patreon. And think about yourself. Think about the facts. Do you look at your wife as a person that needs to be fixed? If you do, understand fully how that will impact you as a father, as a husband, as a person, as you move through life, anything. When you look at those that are around you as broken, you will always treat them as broken. And that's what I did. And full disclosure, I'm about to lose. I think I have lost my entire family. And the bad part is it's taking me losing them all to realize that watching so many backs turn to me and walk away from me, it's sobering. As my daughter said to me one day, she's like, "Dad, if it's everyone around you saying the same thing, you have to at some point look at yourself." And that's exactly what I've always told other people that I've looked at as problems and people that need to be fixed and all of that. If everybody's saying it, maybe it's true. If everybody's saying it, why don't you just look? And I never looked in the mirror at myself. I don't have much of a relationship with my son. Like, when I say much of is being generous. I don't have a relationship with my son. I'm losing the fragile relationship I have with my daughter, and I still have one with my youngest. And for all intents and purposes, my relationship with my wife has absolutely been eviscerated. And I understand now that I had the percentage of the blame I chose to try to ascribe to her. I ascribed blame to my wife as far as finances were concerned. Here's going to be a very different recording. If you heard some of my dumpster fire garbage episodes that I recorded in the first wave of Divorce Diaries podcast, you'll hear me raging out, and I said things like, my wife charged our mortgage payment on our first house to a credit card for several months when we were already like making ends meet barely, and she ran up credit card minimum payments so high that we couldn't afford to stay in our house and pay those minimum payments. So we had to leave very quickly and move in with some family, and that hurt our marriage as well. That whole thing and how I ranted about that, my wife this, my wife that, how could she? I never stopped to think of, why did my partner feel like they couldn't come to me about a problem? What sort of energy did I put forth that, with such a glaringly obvious thing that should be discussed with me as her partner, what type of person do I have to be for her not to want to come to me? Because she ultimately did come to me, obviously, and we made some changes and did some things, but my handling of that, my handling of our relationship and her probably before that was so bad that she didn't even want to mention it. And then when she did mention it and it was time to, be different and, make changes and everything, all I did was take full control over the management of the money, and I totally cut her out of it. And at the time I rationalized it like, oh yeah, that's the right thing. She's not able to do it. That was your fault for giving someone with such a poor ability to manage money. That's your problem. She'll never change. She'll always be. And I did an even worse thing, because let's be honest, we were there for a few years. She handled it just fine up until some point. So she did handle it just fine. And she did provide me the peace of mind that I wanted, but I didn't choose to look at life through that lens of, this woman is really trying her best, and that's all I can ask for. And not only when she tried her best, she was trying her best and she was succeeding. And I could have just built her up and just said thank you and just rode those waves and just really do what those people say in a cliche fashion. Hey, there will be ups and downs in a marriage. Weather the storm. But I didn't handle ups or downs. When we were up, I would talk about the other things about when we were down. When we were down, I would lament about how we're down and see why we're down, and let's not do this and let me control this and down, down, down. I never, ever just slow down to take a beat, pause, and reflect and look at what we had and what we were doing. I was just so tormented by what I felt wasn't there, the destination where we need to be. I have to say, this is the Divorce Diaries, but this is changing because I hate now that I am about to lose it all. Because I'm moving into my own apartment now. We sold the house that we were in, and I moved temporarily, what ended up being temporarily, to another apartment with my family, and there's been a total dumpster fire of a situation, and there was a really bad incident that happened between me and my wife, and it really does feel like 100% that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and as usual, I'm the one to blame. My perspective is really fucked up, and it's fucked up on most everything. Now, what I'm most motivated by, because I don't want this to be all doom and gloom, even though for me, it is. It's a terrible dumpster fire situation. this is almost only doom and only gloom because my family is ending and I'm the reason for it. So, with that being said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this situation, but I've always thought that I was righteous. I always thought that I was good. I always thought that I was pure. But now I know that I'm not. But my rationale and my ideals on life, they haven't changed. I still want to be a good dad. I still also want to be a good husband, even if my wife doesn't want me as a husband anymore. I'm committed to being a good friend to this woman because this woman has been nothing short of amazing to me. I have the worst family. I mean, I have some of the worst family, and my wife put up with them, me. She put up with me when I sort of took their side over hers. She is probably as close to a saint as I'm gonna find. Now I know there are a lot of people that might, you'll find someone else. Well, first, I wasn't really looking for her and I found her. And I'm not really looking to find anybody else. It's not really what I want. Because, not that I don't think I could get anyone. Well, to be honest, I haven't thought about it. Because I'm for as bad as I was to my wife over all the years, I'm sorry if my sound is coming in and out or I'm a little echoey. I'm just getting out of the shower and I'm putting on lotion. I wanted to build a life with someone, and to be honest, after having seen what my wife will do, what she's like, how she moves, I still really, really only want to build a life with her. So I'm not thinking for a moment about meeting and being with any long-term with anyone else. She's really the only one. I really got lucky meeting her in high school and getting married and pregnant so young. It helped perpetuate some really rough times for us. But we had enough, and we had enough that was able to sustain the two of us together, then the three of us with our son. There was enough there. There was enough meat on that bone where I didn't have to be so scared and fretting so much and coming from such a fearful place of like, oh my gosh, if we don't save every cent, we'll never get out of this place. If we don't do this, if we don't maximize every moment, if we don't. And she had to live with the sky is falling husband. Not a husband that was in control, not a husband that was gentle. She just had a fearful husband, and all my fear came out, and I just projected it all onto her. And that's what... There aren't a lot of women in the world like my wife. But one, she's definitely one of a kind, and I'm not saying this because that's what you say. I'm saying it because I think I've talked to enough people. I've hit rock bottom hard enough. And the only thing I'm going to have in my life moving forward is possibly material things. I hope that I can grow some friendships and some relationships moving forward. And I hope that this pain goes away. But I don't know that it will, because I didn't ruin only my own life, but I really, really screwed over my wife, who really put her all into me and our family. So it's a really difficult situation now, knowing that knowing and fully understanding, because everyone used to tell me all the time, God, I don't think you understand. I just don't think you understand. And them saying, I don't think you understand, that eventually grew to, you don't understand. And I got really offended by that, like most fucking finger pointers do. They're never the problem. I got so upset at everyone else. What do you mean I don't? Don't tell me what I know. Don't tell me what I don't know. Even though I did that to people all the time, I'm thinking now I get all offended by what people are doing to me. I'm all pissed off. People are judging me. And to be honest, my family's so sweet. They're so good. They didn't judge me until I came to them and asked them. I'm like, hey, am I sucking right now? Is there something that I'm missing? And they would tell me, yeah, it is. You fucking suck, man. Like, but they were so sweet and gentle in how they brought it to me. It's just the way that you talk to me and the way that you make me feel. And they always say the same thing. You make me feel this way. And I'm thinking, just because I'm trying to do this, just because I'm trying to do that. Sorry, I lost my train of thought a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I wanted very much to help my family, but I just smothered them and I suffocated them and I tried to force them into positions to make them something that they never asked me to try to make them into. And why was I so focused on other people's problems when I had my own shit? I mean, I understand. I mean, it's this isn't me trying to supplant blame on others. This is how my parents were. My parents were very critical people, and I grew up to be a very critical person. I thought that everybody's intentions were good, and my family was just trying to, and maybe their intentions were good. I don't know. I don't even care anymore. All I know is I let my family down. I tried to control them, and I hurt them. That's what I did, and that's what I have been doing up until, maybe a week ago to this point, because they were right. I didn't understand. And they were also right that in my state of mind, I couldn't understand. They were absolutely accurate. I could not understand anything. And me falling as far as I have and actually hitting what I would call rock bottom, with there being no way back, no way up with my wife. Now I finally get it. And that song, on and on, seems to go, but you don't know what you've got till it's gone. Ooh, pop, pop. You don't know what you've got till it's gone. Man, that's so true.
Wow. That was the Divorce Diaries podcast. The Daily Saga will continue tomorrow. The full season's episodes are on Patreon now. Subscribe for early access. Click the Patreon link in the description. Hopefully, these entries help our anonymous recorder as a form of his own personal therapy. That's his hope and his intention. Will these recordings of life's curveballs lead this family to the best resolution in the end? We'll keep listening. New episodes are released daily on all podcast players, but all episodes are available on Patreon at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Until next time.